It's November 8th, 2025, and I thought I might try and go over a chart here just because it was interesting. And I'm looking at the chart of Candace Owens. So let me see here. All right, so hopefully we got a look there at the chart of Candace Owens. But let's see. You have, well, let's see, just to go over it real quick. You have her sun at 9 degrees, 33 minutes Taurus in the 7th house. And you have Mercury at 0 degrees, 6 minutes Gemini in the 8th house. So, and those are the two things that I wanted to look at. Because there was just some interesting things going on. I mean, you tend to look at the sun because in astrology, the idea is that the sun touches everything. It's the light source. So whether it be Mars, Venus, the moon, these are all light reflectors. And so the light from the sun reflects off the light of the other heavenly bodies. Or I should say, it reflects off the body there back to Earth. So it's like the light is infused with Mars and then comes to Earth, or the light infused by the moon and comes to Earth. But the sun is the source of all these things. So with Candace Owens' sun, what we look at is we look at the particular degree. And in that degree, what in the synergistic astrology system, it creates a synergistic circuit. So there's a vibratory nature, and then there's a synergistic circuit is what I refer to it as. So her sun is in the 7th house in the 9 degree and minutes, which ends up being the 10th degree because you're in the 10th degree dynamic, or the 110th vibration. So this is called the creative community collaborator. And the whole concept here is I am partnership that works. The base, again, in 10 degrees Taurus is build what works. And the clean presentation of the energy is you shine when relationships are functional, steady, and mutually beneficial. So you want real commitments, clear roles, shared efforts, something you can trust. The shadow aspect of this is staying in contacts, romantic, business, etc., just because they're stable, even when they're dead. All right, so that's the shadow side. Now, we go through, in the circuit, we go through 4 points. They're called a base, stasia, nexus, and Elias quantum point. These are all different degrees, generally. And what they do is they create a circuit, or like an archetypal pattern. So it moves through these different points is what the energy does. It needs all of these things to fully function. So the next point is the stasia, which is a Taurus 20 degrees. And this is about commitment to shared value. The clean expression of this particular energy is you're wired for loyalty. The best of you shows in long-haul partnerships where both invest in quality, ethics, and reliability. The shadow here is overcommitment, clinging to the form of the relationship, like the title, the history, the duty, instead of its real truth. Next, we move to the nexus, which is Gemini 1, and the tag here is invite new ideas. So this is a clean evolution, comes through conversation. You grow when you ask questions. It opens windows, allows input, and you renegotiate terms. That's the dynamic of the energy. The shadow is skimming the surface, taking possibilities, avoiding concrete shifts, and saying we're fine when you're not. All right, that's when it becomes a bit of a problem. Finally, the Elias quantum point here is a Gemini 20. And this is coordinate the conversation. So this is the clean final form. It's a relational facilitator. You're meant to mediate, translate, connect people, keep dialogue flowing so agreements stay alive and fair. You can be one who makes community. There's collaborations and partnership actually work. So the shadow form here is processing forever. Too many words, not enough decisions. using conversations to pad discomfort instead of adjusting the structure. All right. Now, this all this sits in the 7th house. And this is really about your life purpose, runs through who you partner with and how you partner. So the clean expression of this is, let's make this real, fair, clear, and keep talking so it stays true. The shadow is, I'll keep the relationship and just talk around what needs to change. The one-line synthesis for this particular dynamic is, it's a sun designed to build stable, honest, collaborative bonds. At its best, a grounded architect of healthy partnerships. At its worst, a comfort-bound deal holder who speaks of cooperation while resisting real evolution. So this is where Candace Owens' sun sits, and that's the energy dynamic. And you can see where it describes these sort of best aspects and some of the shadow forms of the energy. And that's the way everything goes. Nothing is like, everybody can vacillate between both sides, and you'll probably see that within a person where some of the shadow will come out, but also the positive. You know, it's the beauty of astrology. It's not like, oh, this is good and that's bad. That's kind of not the way things work. It's always a mixture of, you know, sun expression or shadow expression, because we're all evolving beings. So that's the factor there. Now, the other thing I thought was like interesting was Mercury is in her 8th house, and it happens to be in that 1 degree Gemini, which is called the intellectual, curious pioneer. Now, these titles and all these sort of descriptions are all coming out of my book, The Synergistic Astrology. So, and what I've done is I've taken and defined all 360 degrees, and that's what we're doing here. Now, also what we're doing here is we're showing the synergistic circuit. So the whole archetypal pattern is what we're actually going into point by point. So what this does, her Gemini, is it's about a bright mind and deep waters. And so the base, it says ask first. And it deals with the concept of your curiosity is not casual. You want to know what's under the story. Secrets, motives, trauma, power, money, sexuality, psychology, the occult, why people do what they do. The clean expression of the energy is a sharp, investigative mind, honest questions that open real transformation. The shadow side is an interrogator energy. Mental spying, overfixation on others' messes. The Stasia here is show up bold. You don't just research taboo stuff, you speak it. There's flair in how you voice truths. People are scared to touch. So it's, again, you're going into the taboo is what you're really doing here. Excuse me. But what it is this is the push. All right. Now, the clean expression of the energy is a courageous, charismatic truth teller. It makes hard topics human and less shameful. The shadow side of this energy is a dramatic exposure, calling people out or liking the shock more than the healing. So that's a shadow form of the energy. Next, we move to what's called the nexus. This is about a listening and balance with all the 8th house themes here. And this pushes you towards ethical handling of intimate information or content confidently. And there's a fairness in shared resources and emotional contracts. The clean expression of this energy is it mediates crisis with grace, fair with money, secrets, and power. The shadow deals with overthinking, how to say the hard things. It deals with people pleasing where you need clean boundaries. And finally, we deal with the Elias quantum point, which is Libra 3. And this is about the bridge for minds. And the final form here is the psychological diplomat. You translate shadow material into language others can handle. You help people understand their own patterns without crushing them. Now, the clean expression here is like a therapist, a negotiator, a crisis whisperer vibe type thing. And the shadow form is it sugarcoats, it intellectualizes pain, or uses charm to dodge their own depth. Sort of the one-line summary of this particular energy with this Mercury in the 8th here is a curious pioneer of the hidden, a bright, disarming communicator built to ask real questions about taboo, trust, power, and intimacy, able to turn secrets into understanding, or in shadow into drama, control, or pretty words with no accountability. So again, this is that natal Mercury in the 8th house, 1 degree Gemini. Now, one of the things that's happening right now, because, I've been aware of Candace Owens. I remember, it must have been a couple years ago or whatever, I saw her on Joe Rogan. At that time, was not that impressed. I mean, I was impressed with the fact that she had risen, but she couldn't back up some of the stuff she was saying. And Joe Rogan tends to expose that type of stuff. If you really know what you're talking about. And she should have just said she didn't know, but she didn't. She tried to push it like she did know what she was talking about and kind of exposed that she didn't. Now, I think she's probably gotten better. I mean, she's got a large following now, one of the top podcasts. So she's doing something right. She's getting people's attention. But she's been going down some real crazy places lately. Now, not saying whether it's right or wrong, but for me as an astrologer, you sort of like, oh, I want to know what's going on. So, like, why would she be doing this? So looked at the chart and boom, there you see it. She's got Uranus transiting her Mercury, all right, in the 8th house. So what does that mean?